Group A of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features Mexico, South Africa, Czech Republic and Czech Republic. Mexico ranked number 15 in the most recent world rankings. One of the three co-hosts at this tournament, not the most high profile, but maybe the team with the most potential, and certainly the one with the strongest football culture. It's Mexico's 18th World Cup, last missing a tournament in 1990 when they were disqualified from qualification following an overage player scandal in 1988. One primary objective for Mexico at this tournament should be staying at home for as long as possible. They'll play twice in Mexico City and once in Zapopan during the group stage, with the World Cup scheduled so that the Group A winner stays in Mexico City for the round of 32 and also plays at the Azteca for the subsequent round of 16 tied 2, the last Mexico-based game of the entire World Cup. In an open Group A that lacks a true big hitter, it's entirely possible that the co-host nation could achieve this. Mexico's home World Cup squad will include a modern-day cult hero. Goalkeeper Guillermo Ochoa is far more synonymous with the international game than the club game. He's turning 41 in the final week of the tournament, has spent the last season playing in Cyprus, and if picked to play, will be featuring in a 4 straight World Cup, having made his eye-catching debut in 2014 after being part of the squads to both Germany 2006 and South Africa 2010. Mexico elsewhere are likely to look for influence from Lokomotiv Moscow centre-back Cesar Montes, Genoa defender Johan Vazquez, Toluca left-back Jesus Gallardo, versatile defensive asset and captain Edson Alvarez, midfield creator Orbelin Pineda, 17-year-old future star Gilberto Mora, and Fulham striker Raul Jimenez. South Africa, ranked 60th in the world, will face Mexico in the World Cup's opening game at Estadio Azteca, creating a repeat of the opening fixture from their own World Cup back in 2010. That year was also the last time we saw Bafana at a FIFA World Cup. 2026 will be their 4th total appearance, having previously had group stage exits in 1998, 2002 and 2010. In what is the biggest World Cup ever, with more qualification opportunities than ever before, Belgian coach Hugo Broos will want to believe that this can be a historic summer for the Rainbow Nation. South Africa have a largely domestic-based squad. 19 out of 26 players play in South Africa, with 16 of those playing through either Mamelodi Sundowns or Orlando Pirates, an 8-8 split overall. One of the Sundowns men is their main goalkeeper and captain, 34-year-old Ronwen Williams, and their other key assets also playing for Sundowns could well be 29-year-old midfielder Teboho Mokoena and 36-year-old attacking midfielder Themba Zwane. Burnley striker Lyle Foster is worth a mention, and potentially 24-year-old Orlando Pirates winger Oswin Apolis too. South Korea, officially recognised by FIFA as Czech Republic, are ranked 25th in the world. They are the most common Asian qualifier at FIFA World Cups. Their debut was in 1954, returning in 1986 and appearing at every tournament since. South Korea went winless at World Cups in the 20th century, then hit a sudden peak when co-hosts in 2002, winning their group unbeaten, making it all the way to the semi-finals and finishing 4th overall, still to this day the best performance by an ASC member. Maybe don't ask an Italian or a Spaniard how they feel about that record Korean run though. The 5 most recent tournaments, 3 group stage exits and 2 round of 16 appearances are better proof of where the Koreans are currently at. Qualifications for this open Group A is definitely possible. Hong Myung-bo has a group representing top flight leagues from 3 different continents. Key men including Bayern Munich centre-back Kim Min-jae, Feyenoord midfielder Hwang In-beom, Paris Saint-Germain attacking midfielder Lee Kang-in, and talismanic forward Son Heung-min. Currently based at Los Angeles SC, South Korea's record appearance maker and just 3 goals away from becoming their all-time record goal scorer. Czech Republic, officially recognised by FIFA as Czechia, are ranked 41st in the world. Qualifying to 2026 breaks an odd recent trend for the Czechs, a national team that since independence in 1993 had qualified for every edition of the European Championship but only one World Cup, that being Germany 2006 where they exited in the groups. Their main stage return after 20 years comes after winning Part D of the UEFA playoffs, a pair of home ties against the Republic of Ireland and then Denmark, both times drawing 2-2 and eventually winning on penalties. Considering the desperate situation that the Czechs looked in just 23 minutes into their semi-final with Ireland, it's a major achievement for them to be in North America, now part of a very open Group A, and with a chance of reaching knockout football for the first time since the Czechoslovakia team that went to Italy in 1990. March's playoff success was achieved by Miroslav Kubek, a 74-year-old former goalkeeper and 3-time manager of Viktoria Plzeň, who only took charge of his country back in December 2025. He's taking a 26-man squad to North America, which has an average age of around 27, with its oldest player being 35-year-old Hradec Králové midfielder Vladimír Darida, and the youngest being Sparta Praha midfielder Hugo Sočurek, who's only just turned 18. Key to a good tournament for a big Czech Republic team should be PSV goalkeeper Matej Kovar, Wolverhampton Wanderers defender Ladislav Krejci, Hoffenheim pair Robin Hranac and Vladimir Suthal, box-crashing West Ham United midfielder Thomas Souček, and Bayer Leverkusen striker Patrick Schick. 23-year-old Lyon attacking midfielder Pavel Sulch is a personal one to watch. My Group A prediction: Mexico, Czech Republic, Korea Republic, South Africa, with Korea Republic through as a third-place qualifier. Group B of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features Canada, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Qatar and Switzerland. Canada, ranked 30th in the most recent FIFA World Rankings from April 2026, are one of the 3 co-hosts at this bumper World Cup. It's only their 3rd appearance at the finals in total, making a debut at Mexico 1986 and returning recently to Qatar 2022. Both times they exited the group stage, losing all 3 games. It means that Jesse Marsch's team needs to do very little to have its best ever World Cup, playing the opener in Toronto and their 2 final group stage games in Vancouver, also knowing that if they were to top Group B, they'd remain in Vancouver for the round of 32, as well as that subsequent round of 16 tie, which is the last Canada-based game of the entire World Cup. Hoping to make history and collect Canada's first World Cup points is a 26-man group, almost all of them based at clubs away from Canadian soil, the exceptions being the Toronto SC pair of starting fullback Richie Laryea and possible midfield option Jonathan Osorio. Ones to watch in this Canada squad have to include centre-backs Moisin Bombito and Derek Cornelius, playing for Nice and Rangers respectively, as well as Los Angeles SC midfielder Steven Eustachio, Villarreal wideman Teon Buchanan, and their record goalscorer Juventus forward Jonathan David, usually in a front pair with either Southampton's Kyle Larin or Villarreal's Tani Oluwaseyi. Canada's starman and captain Alphonso Davies is in the squad. Hard to believe he's still only 25 and made his debut for the Vancouver Whitecaps a decade ago. At the time of writing, however, there are persistent fitness issues with the less-sided superstar, bringing into question exactly when and how much he can feature during his home World Cup. Canada will open their home World Cup in Toronto against Bosnia and Herzegovina.
I'm from Bosnia, take me to America. I really want to see Statue of Liberty. I can no longer wait, take me to United States. Take me to Golden Gate, I will assimilate.
Shout out to Dubiotsa Collective, that song is wonderful. Ranked 65th in the world, this is Bosnia and Herzegovina's second World Cup as an independent nation, their debut coming back in Brazil in 2014, where they ultimately exited in the group stage, but got their first points with a 3-1 win over Iran. Bosnia's place at North America comes as the headline-grabbing winner of Path A of the UEFA playoffs. That required 2 penalty shootout wins, first away in Cardiff after grabbing an equaliser against the hopeful Wales, and then on home soil, where they took advantage of heavyweights Italy going down to 10 men, took the match all the way, scored all 4 penalties, and condemned the Azzurri to a 3rd straight absence at the FIFA World Cup. Sergei Barbarez's side have been having to deal with the underappreciated tag for a while. They could have qualified automatically for this World Cup back in November, leading away in Austria for over an hour in a direct shootout at top spot in Group H, ultimately drawing 1-1 and missing out by 2 points. Again, they were largely unfancied in Path A of the playoffs and could be ready to pounce if disrespected again in a World Cup group that lacks a true big hitter. Of the 26 players heading to North America, 2 of them were also present in the squad which went to Brazil 12 years ago. Those 2 are familiar names: Atalanta defender Sead Kolasinac and Bosnian legend Edin Dzeko. Now 40 years old, recently promoted to the Bundesliga with Schalke, the record cap holder and goalscorer is still the main man for Bosnia and Herzegovina. 2025 was his best international return for a decade, and he grabbed the crucial equaliser in their playoff semi-final with Wales. Keep an eye out too for the versatile Benfica wideman Amar Dedic, PSV attacker Esmir Bayraktarevic, Red Bull Salzburg attacker Kerem Albaybegovic, and Stuttgart forward Ermedin Demirovic. Qatar, ranked 55th in the world, are taking part in their second FIFA World Cup, their debut coming as hosts 3.5 years ago in late 2022. A lot of separate preparation from their squad for that tournament, only to finish bottom of the group without any points, officially the poorest performance from a World Cup host nation. 2026 is the first tournament Qatar have reached off of their own back, albeit that it could still be attributed to an expansion to 48 teams and the greater qualification spots available for ASC nations. Qatar weren't one of the initial group of Asian qualifiers, instead instead requiring the smaller, simpler ASC fourth round to book their place. A group of Canada, Bosnia and Herzegovina and Switzerland does still a bit kinder than the Netherlands, Ecuador and Senegal group that they were part of in 2022, potentially presented the chance to Qatar to finally earn some World Cup points under the high-caliber coach, Spaniard Julian Lopetegui. They are back-to-back ASC Asian Cup winners too. There has to be something here. Qatar's World Cup prep has been more affected than others. The Iran war cancelled both of their official March internationals and one scheduled home warm-up game in May. Their squad heading to North America is almost entirely based at clubs in the Qatar Stars League, the exception being less-sided Homan Ahmed, who has been on loan in Spain's second tier from a Qatari club. Qatar is one of the more prominent teams when it comes to the naturalisation of players. The process of bringing foreign players into your own league and retaining them long enough for them to gain citizenship and to be eligible for your own national team. The squad includes players originating from Algeria, Belgium, Brazil, Egypt, France, Ghana, Portugal, Senegal, Somalia and Sudan, one of those being Brazilian-born defender Lucas Mendes, another being Egyptian-born midfielder Ahmed Thati. They could both be key parts of the Qatari spine, whilst up at the top end, eyes have to thirsty turn to the three highest scorers in the active squad. Left-sided Akram Athith, record appearance maker Hassan Al Haydos, and record goalscorer Almoez Ali. Switzerland, ranked 19th in the world, are playing at a 13th total World Cup, continuing a successive streak of qualifications that began in Germany 2006. Their record runs remain from the early years though, playing in the last 8 on 3 occasions. Italy 1934 and France 1938, when the World Cup was a 16-team straight knockout format, and as hosts in 1954, when a shortened group stage was used. Modern-day Switzerland is the focus though, where they've been savvy preliminary round operators. They qualified from the groups in all but one of the last 5 tournaments, the exception being South Africa 2010, albeit they still inflicted eventual champion Spain with their only defeat of that tournament. Competing in a Group B this summer where they are the relative big hitter, that qualification record has to be fancied to continue. Long-standing head coach Murat Yakin has an excellent group, representing some of Europe's most elite leagues. The big names include Borussia Dortmund goalkeeper Gregor Kobel, Inter defender Manuel Akanji, Real Betis' left side defender Ricardo Rodriguez, skipper Granit Xhaka, nowadays of Sunderland, Nottingham Forest wideman Denan Doy, powerful Stade Rennes striker Briel Mbolo, and Sevilla forward Ruben Vargas. SC Freiburg's Johan Manzambi is a major 20-year-old talent, both as a midfielder or further up. He's caught attention already with his club's Europa League run, and this World Cup is a chance for an even bigger audience to learn his game. My Group B prediction: Switzerland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Canada, Qatar, Canada through as a third-place qualifier. Group C of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features Brazil, Morocco, Haiti and Scotland. Brazil, ranked number 6 in the April FIFA World Rankings, are the quintessential World Cup team. Famously the only country to have appeared at every edition of the tournament, they are record 5-time winners, also playing in 2/3 of finals, finishing 3rd on 2/3 occasions and finishing 4th on 2/3 occasions. Expectations always high on Brazil at the World Cup, which makes the years post their 2002 triumph a real disappointment. It's been a common trend with Brazil at the last 5 World Cups. That iconic kit arrives on the world stage with interest, but the sum is up sooner than liked at the hands of a European opponent. Quarter-final exits in 2006, 2010, 2018 and 2022, with 2014 being an infamous semi-final exit by a humiliating margin. Brazil's attempts to star number 6 this year are resting on Carlo Ancelotti, a very high-caliber manager, potentially a good fit for a team that has long had a culture of freedom and flair over strict tactical systems. Don Carlo's 26-man squad includes Alisson as the leading goalkeeper, Ederson now of Fenerbahce, and Grêmio's Weberton as the alternatives. Gabriel and Marquinhos can work together as a centre-back pairing after just facing off in the Champions League final. Juventus' Bremer an alternative, whilst it's one of Alexandro or Douglas Santos the left-back, and likely Nilo the right-back. Casemiro and Bruno Guimaraes are deep midfield standouts, a position further up vacant for the now Flamengo-based Lucas Paqueta, or potentially SC Barcelona's excellent forward Rafinha, among others. Potential front lines: Vinicius Jr., Mateus Cunha and Zenit's Luis Enrique, Gabriel Martinelli, Brentford's Igor Thiago, and AFC Bournemouth's Ryan. Endrick, on loan at Olympic Lyon for the second half of 25-26, turns 20 just after the World Cup finishes. And of course, a mention to the former Brazilian wonderkid. Neymar's back in. Now 34, playing back in Brazil at Santos, the place where it all began 17 years ago. Neymar hasn't played for Brazil for almost 3 years, his time to club and country affected by fitness issues, including one that affects his build-up to this summer's tournament. A nostalgic pick, a headline-grabbing inclusion, what exactly the iconic forward's contribution is to North America 2026 remains to be seen. His country are going to the trophy with or without his help regardless. Morocco are ranked number 8 in the world, providing a tasty opening game opponent to Brazil. It's a 7th total World Cup appearance for the North African nation, making their debut in 1970, returning for a round of 16 appearance in 1986, and that did remain their only knockout game until the extremely successful 2022 World Cup in Qatar. That Moroccan run in 2022, becoming the first African team to reach the semi-finals and ending up 4th overall, could be seen as the start of the era of the Atlas Lion that we are currently in. Morocco has never been this strong on the international stage, this well ranked, this exciting a prospect. They're entering this tournament with just a handful of defeats in recent years, with their future looking bright after their under-20s won the most recent under-20 World Cup. Morocco officially arrive at North America as reigning African champions, albeit that title carries a huge asterisk next to it. Anyone who saw that final in January understands how Senegal feel about CAF's decision made later on in March. Walid Regragui has called time on his spell in charge of Morocco, the team now led by Mohamed Ouabi. He inherits a group who are growing in strength as more and more foreign-born eligible players find appeal in the Moroccan project. Just 7 of the 26-man squad were born on Moroccan soil, the rest originated from France, Spain, Belgium, the Netherlands, and even Canada. That Canadian-born man is their main goalkeeper, Al Hilal-based Yassine Bounou. His defence in front includes captain and Paris Saint-Germain superstar Achraf Hakimi, Manchester United's Noussair Mazraoui, Fulham's Issa Diop, and Olympique de Marseille's Nayef Egged. Midfield could include Roma's Neil El Ainoui, Real Betis' Sofiane Amrabat, Stuttgart's Bilal El Khanous, and PSV's Ismail Sabari. Star attackers including Real Madrid's Brahim Diaz, Real Betis winger Abdel El Zalzouli, and Olympiacos striker Ayoub El Kabi. Haiti, ranked 83rd in the world, are making their World Cup return after 52 years, last appearing in the group stages of the 1974 tournament in West Germany. Haiti being at this World Cup is one of the biggest miracle stories you can get. It's a nation historically poor and politically unstable, one of the least developed countries in the world, a lifetime affected by military action, a catastrophic earthquake, and disease outbreak. The current political state of Haiti means that its national team haven't officially played a game on home soil since June 2021. Qualification to this World Cup had them using the islands of Barbados, Aruba and Curacao as neutral venues, the latter's capital Willemstad being the place where they won Group C of the CONCACAF third round ahead of Honduras, Costa Rica and Nicaragua, booking an improbable place at the North American tournament. Haiti will be seen as the underdogs in a challenging Group C, but simply being at group games in Foxborough, Philadelphia and Atlanta is a major achievement already for French coach Sébastien Mignet and his team. Just one of the 26-man squad plays for a club in Haiti, that being 21-year-old midfielder Woodensky Pierre. Bastia's Johnny Placide and Sochal's Alexander Pierre could battle out for the goalkeeper spot, key assets outfield being Ecuador-based centre-back Ricardo Ade, Wolverhampton Wanderers midfielder Jean-Rickner Bellegarde, Esteghlal forward Dukans Nizon, and Chaiko Rizespor forward Francis Piero. Sunderland's Wilson Isidore has committed himself to his country of descent since March, having not been part of the Haiti setup prior to securing qualification, and Ferencváros forward Lenny Joseph has a similar story. More than half of this Haitian team are foreign-born, the vast majority born in France, but some also originate from Canada, the United States and Switzerland. Scotland, ranked 43rd in the world, are playing at a 9th total World Cup. More notably, it's their first appearance on the world stage since France 1998. A 28-year run finally ended with an incredible night at Hampden Park last November. Needing to beat direct rivals Denmark to top Group C and qualify, Scotland won 4-2 late on and qualified to spark jubilant scenes. That's the latest duck off their backs under Steve Clarke, who has brought a relative golden period of tournament qualification to the modern-day Tartan army. Now comes their next trend to target ending. Scotland have infamously never made it past the group stages of a major tournament, both at World Cups or European Championships. At the biggest World Cup ever, where you can finish third and still get through, it feels time for them to at long last end that duck and reach brand new heights. Aiming to win their opener with Haiti and then compete well with both Morocco and Brazil is a group that blends Premier League, Championship, Scottish Premiership and Serie A with Croatian and Saudi League representation too. Scott McTominay is a dependable source of goals to midfield, hugely loved at Napoli. His club teammate Billy Gilmore is an unfortunate forced omission after picking up an injury during warm-up friendlies. Andy Robertson, with his freshly announced move to Tottenham Hotspur, is the Scotland captain. Brenton Thorback, Aaron Hickey and Celtic left-sider Kieran Tierney among defensive standouts. Aston Villa's John McGinn brings quality to midfield and advanced areas, as does Bologna midfielder Lewis Ferguson and young Bournemouth winger Ben Gannon-Doak. Charlton Athletic's Lyndon Dykes, Torino's Che Adams and new Rangers man Lawrence Shankland are the main firepower up top. My Group C prediction, Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, Haiti, Scotland through as a third place qualifier. Group D of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features the United States, Paraguay, Australia and Turkey. The United States of America are ranked 16th in the most recent FIFA World rankings, the third of our three co-hosts, and perhaps the one with the most natural interest given the large overall allocation of venues and matches and the simple fact of this being the United States of America. 2026 is the 12th total FIFA World Cup appearance. Their debut at the inaugural tournament in 1930 remains their best run, reaching the semi-finals and being awarded third overall by virtue of a stronger total goal difference to Yugoslavia. In the modern day, they missed one World Cup since returning in 1990, that being Russia 2018, and their modern day best run is to the quarter-finals in 2002. It's tricky to know exactly what expectations to have with the United States at this tournament, a major host nation who will at minimum want to give a good account of themselves, a watching public who may or may not be aware of exactly where the USA sits in the men's international pecking order, part of Group D, which is arguably the most open and competitive group of the entire tournament. The US play in Inglewood and Seattle for their group stage games, heading to Santa Clara if they win this group, travelling to Texas if they're runner-up, and at a whole variety of places if they make it through as a third-place qualifier. It's not possible for them to play any matches at a Mexican or Canadian stadium in the knockout rounds. Mauricio Pochettino has been in charge of the US MNT since September 2024. His teams have had a very mixed bag of friendly and competitive results since then. His squad for this summer is largely Europe-based, key assets being outfield. That includes Crystal Palace centre-back Chris Richards, Fulham left-back Anthony Robinson, AFC Bournemouth midfielder Tyler Adams, Monaco striker Thalarin Balogun, and the hopeful American poster boy Milan's Christian Pulisic. Veteran Tim Ream could still feature in defence. The versatility of Marseille's Timothy Weah and Juventus' Weston McKennie could be put to use. Leverkusen's Malik Tillman, Mönchengladbach's Giovanni Reina, or PSV's Ricardo Pepe may join the starting attack. The United States opened their second home World Cup in Inglewood, California against Paraguay. Ranked 40th in the world, it's a 9th total World Cup appearance for La Albirroca and 16 years since their last, an appearance at South Africa 2010 where they went on a record run to the quarter-finals. Taking advantage of the World Cup expansion and extra CONMEBOL places to qualify automatically to North America, Paraguay are in the same boat as their group opponents USA, Turkey and Australia will all be. A very open group, a possible case for them made to be finishing anywhere between 1st and 4th. Paraguay's success in North America could well depend on the quality of their spine. Their primary defensive unit formed out of their captain, Palmeiras centre-back Gustavo Gomez, usually partnered by Sunderland's Omar Alderete, with Atletico Mineiro's Junior Alonso at left-back and Dinamo Moscow's Juan Jose Caceres on the right. Further up, there's a focus on names more familiar to European League followers, namely Brighton and Hove Albion's expressive midfield man Diego Gomez, former Newcastle United and current Atlanta United winger Miguel Almiron, and FC Strasbourg forward Julio Enciso, who may be picked in support or alongside Cremonese's Antonio Sanabria. Australia are ranked 27th in the world rankings. This is their 7th appearance at the FIFA World Cup, having made a debut at West Germany in 1974 and eventually returning for Germany 2006, where they've not missed a tournament since. They reached Germany 20 years ago as an Oceania Football Confederation member, 2006 also coinciding with the year that Australia made the move over to the Asian Football Confederation, leaving behind their position as Oceania's dominant force and becoming one of the stronger teams in Asian football, benefiting well from the improved competition and increased major tournament opportunities. Having recorded an excellent round of 16 finish in 2022, their joint record run, Australia now go out in search of more knockout qualification in a very competitive Group D. Tony Popovic's team are a truly international group, representing 19 clubs from 13 countries and 4 different continents. Just 5 of the team play for A-League clubs, 3 of them being all at Melbourne City. Goalkeeper Matthew Ryan, nowadays at Levante in Spain, has 99 more caps than his 2 fellow keepers have combined. His defence in front could feature the towering Harry Suter, the left-sided Karen Burgess, and one of the versatile trio of Kai Trewin, Jason Gurria, or Alessandro Saccati, with Austria-based Jacob Italiano and Feyenoord's Jordan Boss possibly wingbacks. A St. Pauli midfield pairing of Connor Metcalfe and Jackson Irvin is possible, though New York City SC's Aidan O'Neill has been the regular starter. Norwich City's Mohamed Toure could well lead the line, ahead of another championship man in Watford's Nestoroi Irankunda, with Heracles' Aidan Trustic, Castellon's Awer Mabil, or veteran Matthew Leckie also available. Turkey are ranked 22nd in the world following the latest April refresh. It's a country deeply passionate to the game that has rarely had the chance to show it on the biggest stage. 2026 is only Turkey's third FIFA World Cup appearance, their previous record being a group stage exit on debut at Switzerland 1954 and a run to third place overall at Japan and South Korea 2002. It's been a 24-year wait to return to the World Cup, earned after a pair of hard-fought wins over Romania and Kosovo in Part C of UEFA's playoffs. The rewards are breaking a long period away, the most competitive open group of the entire tournament, with the potential to be a surprise package if their biggest stars shine in North America. Plenty of Super League representation in Vincenzo Montella's squad, as well as top-level clubs from Europe and Saudi Arabia. Names to watch out for include Brighton and Hove Albion wideman Ferdi Kadioglu, midfield controller Hakan Çalhanoğlu, creative wonderkid Arda Güler, and a fluid front line where Juventus' Kenan Yildiz, Fenerbahce's Kerem Aktürkoğlu, and Galatasaray's Barış Alper Yilmaz are among the options. My Group D prediction: Turkey, United States, Australia, Paraguay, Australia not qualifying through third place. Group E of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features Germany, Curacao, Cote d'Ivoire and Ecuador. Germany, currently ranked 10th after the FIFA World Rankings update in April, are Europe's historic football powerhouse. 2026's appearance means that they would have played at 21 of the 23 FIFA World Cups, the two absences being the inaugural 1930 edition, a tournament where they were invited but chose not to travel, and Brazil 1950, when the country was still in the aftermath of the Second World War. The record speaks for itself. Four-time world champions, played in 4 further World Cup finals and finished third overall on a further 4 occasions. For all that success, the FIFA World Cup has been a horrendous time for Germany in the last decade, infamously suffering shock group stage exits in Russia 2018 and Qatar 2022, having been world champions in Brazil immediately before them. With this being a bumper World Cup, having more knockout qualification opportunities than ever before, and Germany being placed in this specific group, a preliminary round exit would easily be the biggest shot of the lot this time. That recent trend surely has to end in North America. Germany might not begin this World Cup as an immediate frontrunner, but with projections having them meeting France as soon as the round of 16, they could quickly get the chance to prove their title credentials to the watching public. Julian Nagelsmann, still only 38 years old, leads Die Mannschaft into a second tournament after the home European Championship of 2024. He's got one guy in his squad who is older than him, and it's a true legend of the sport. Manuel Neuer's back. He'd announced his international retirement after the Euros nearly 2 years ago, but still on top of his game at Bayern Munich, the now 40-year-old is competing with Hoffenheim's Oliver Baumann and Stuttgart's Alexander Nubel for minutes of what would be his 5th World Cup. Defence in front of him regularly sees Jonathan Tah and Nico Schlotterbeck combined as a centre-back pairing, with Joshua Kimmich and David Raum as full-backs, whilst Antonio Rudiger, Valdemar Anton, Nathaniel Brown and Malik Tior are also defensive options. Bayern representation in the midfield unit includes Alexander Pavlovic, Leon Goretzka and Jamal Musiala, the latter set to feature in his 4th tournament while still only being 23. There had been plans for the latest German wonderkid, Bayern's Lennart Karl, to have a breakout tournament, but he's had to miss out through injury, replaced by another young starlet, RB Leipzig's Hassan Ouedraogo. Florian Wirtz, Jamie Leveling and Leroy Sané complete the main list of wide options for a team that still needs an emergent, dependable main striker. Nick Woltemade is more of a midfielder nowadays than Newcastle United, Dennis Undav similar at Stuttgart, Kai Havertz similar for Arsenal. Curacao introduced our first of 4 debutants at this FIFA World Cup. Ranked 82nd in the world, it's an island in the southern Caribbean, officially part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, but an independent nation in FIFA's eyes, as so many territories are eligible to be. Curaçao's place in this World Cup has come thanks to several factors: an expansion of the World Cup to 48 teams, and a more favourable CONCACAF path with its 3 biggest teams already qualified as hosts, and successful squad recruitment under Dutch manager Dick Advocaat, who has resumed his work with the team after initially resigning in February. Entering this World Cup as a firm unknown to many, Curaçao's squad is a strong example of how FIFA's eligibility rules can harness the potential of a national team. 25 of their 26 players heading to North America were born in the Netherlands. The only player actually originating from the island is Sheffield United attacker Tahi Chong. Several of their players have or do currently feature the good-level European clubs. Those names including veteran goalkeeper Eloy Room, right-back Shirandi Sambo, centre-back Armando Obispo, defensive option Richard Bazuer, and striker Jurgen Lecadia, albeit the latter's missing the start of this tournament after a red card and a warm-up friendly with Scotland. Keep an eye out too for the Bacuna brothers, captain Leandro and younger brother Janino, playing in Turkey and the Netherlands respectively, both midfielders with the versatility to play wider. Neither are quite as versatile though as Yanni Martha, who has been to Rotherham United this latest season. The Ivory Coast, officially recognised by FIFA as Côte d'Ivoire, are ranked 34th in the world. This is their 4th total World Cup appearance. They had a string of group stage appearances between Germany 2006 and Brazil 2014, returning now after a 12-year absence into a group with one heavyweight frontrunner, but the potential to excite and challenge the second, facing a fellow runner-up from Group I in the round of 32. Led by a French-born former Côte d'Ivoire international coach, the Elephant squad gets more exciting the further forward you go. Yahya Fofana is the present leading goalkeeper, competition coming from a newer international recruit and former French youth prospect Alban Lafont. Centre-back options like Roma's Evan Ndika, Atalanta's Odilon Kosunu, and Sporting's Ousmane Diamonde feature, midfield aiming to be controlled by Al Ahly's Franck Kessié, Nottingham Forest Ibrahim Sangare, Porto's Seko Fofana, or Christ Inal Olai of Trabzonspor. Manchester United's Amad Diallo has game-changing ability in his left foot, Villarreal's Nicolas Pepe can take the right side or an up-top position, Monaco's Simon Adingra and Leipzig prospect Jan Diamonde are further wide options. Nice's Elia Wahi and Palace Evans Gesand are further forward options, and there's also been a new call-up for Inter's Ange Joan Boni. His allegiance switch from France to Côte d'Ivoire only approved a month ago. Ecuador, ranked 23rd in the world, are playing at their 5th World Cup. The South American nation didn't make their debut until 2002, only missing 2 editions since, with their record run being a round of 16 exit at Germany 2006. Led by an Argentine coach, as several of the CONMEBOL nations are, Ecuador are hoping to capitalise on a competitive group, having experienced the most positive South American qualifying campaign for years. They were beaten just twice in the 18-game league, conceding just 5 goals and finishing 2nd overall, and would have had a stronger margin over the rest, if not for a 3-point penalty following false birth documentation from the previous World Cup cycle. At the time of writing, before the final warm-up friendly with Guatemala, Ecuador are also unbeaten in international matches since September 2024. Standout assets in the Ecuador team include Chelsea midfielder Moises Caicedo, Arsenal's left side defender Piero Hincapié, Paris Saint-Germain centre-back William Pacho, Huracan goalkeeper Hernan Galindez, and their veteran record goalscorer Enner Valencia, nowadays back playing in Mexico with former club Pachuca. My Group E prediction, Germany, Ecuador, Côte d'Ivoire, Curaçao, Côte d'Ivoire through as a 3rd place qualifier. Group F of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features the Netherlands, Japan, Sweden and Tunisia. The Netherlands are ranked number 7 in the world following a recent update in April 2026. This is the 12th FIFA World Cup appearance for the Dutch, somewhat of a surprise given the reputation that they have. The Netherlands are the most successful World Cup team who are yet to win it, famously 3-time finalists, twice during the 1970s, with one of the most revolutionary influential teams of all time, and once in the 2010s. There's also a 3rd place finish at Brazil 2014 and a 4th place finish at France 1998. The Netherlands often straddle the space between the contender and outside contender brackets when it comes to expectations, often taking a real grind to be eliminated, as Argentina found out in Qatar previously. It's the Dutch who may need to start things off wary though, part of one of the more challenging groups for this tournament. Ronald Koeman continues his 2nd Oranje spell with a plethora of high quality individuals. Virgil van Dijk, Nathan Ake, Geert Truida, Denzel Dumfries and Mickey van der Ven at the back, Ryan Gravenberch, Tiani Reinders and Frenkie de Jong in midfield, Cody Gakpo, Daniel Marlon, Brian Brobby and record goalscorer Memphis in forward areas. There's also a 3rd senior call-up for West Ham United's Crescencio Somerville, and the big man Wout Weghorst will be called upon if needed. Japan are presently the world number 18. 2026 is their 8th World Cup, continuing their streak of reaching every tournament since their debut at France 1998. Their record run is just the round of 16, achieved 4 separate times, including back-to-back in 2018 and 2022. 3.5 years ago in Qatar, Japan were one of the group stage headlines, pitted against European heavyweights in Germany and Spain, and beating both of them on their way to topping Group E. There was a buzz of hope back then for the Samurai Blue, and that buzz should remain this summer. This is an excellently drilled team under long-serving coach Hajime Moriyasu, loaded with strong technical players, and once again hunting European scalps in the preliminary rounds. The latest Japanese World Cup squad includes Parma goalkeeper Sion Suzuki, born in the United States to a Ghanaian father and Japanese mother, choosing to represent the country where he was raised from a young age. The Ajax pair of Ko Itakura and Takehiro Tomiyasu, Feyenoord's Tsuyoshi Watanabe, and Bayern's Hiroki Ito are handy defensive assets. There's Liverpool's Wataru Endo, Leeds United's Eo Tanaka, Crystal Palace's Daichi Kamada, and Mainz's Kaishu Sano for midfield, Real Sociedad's Taketsusa Kubo, Eintracht Frankfurt's Ritsu Doan, Celtic's Daitsu Maeda, Stade de Reims' Kaito Nakamura, Genks Junior Ito, and Freiburg's Yuita Suzuki for more advanced and wide areas, with one of Feyenoord's Ayase Ueda or NEC's Koki Igawa leading the line. These should be very competitive. Sweden, ranked 38th, are playing at their 13th World Cup, their best history coming from the previous century, with their record run being a place in the final when they were hosts in 1958. Of the 48 teams at this World Cup, no one can claim to have got in via the back door quite like Sweden have. Blau Guts were possibly the biggest disappointment of all of normal qualifying, placing a UEFA group with Kosovo, Slovenia and Switzerland and coming bottom with just 2 points. They were offered a lifeline through a place in the UEFA playoffs, earned via a UEFA Nations League C group win from 2024. Hiring English coach Graham Potter from October 2025, Sweden would take full use of their second chance. Viktor Gyökeres the star with a hat-trick against Ukraine in the semi-final and the winner of a 3-2 thriller with Poland in Solna 5 days later. Sweden's place at the 2026 FIFA World Cup has come as a result of what they have done outside of their qualifiers in 2025. Part of the reason for the thinning of disappointment with Sweden's last year is the quality that they possess. Arsenal's Viktor Gyökeres and Liverpool's Alexander Isak form a really eye-catching front pair when picked together, and that's before adding the likes of Newcastle United's Anthony Elanga and Celtic's Benjamin Nygren in, and accepting that Dejan Kulusevski still has to sadly miss out on availability. Brighton and Hove Albion's Yassine Ayari or Tottenham Hotspur's Lucas Bergvall could be worth watching in midfield. Borussia Dortmund's Daniel Svensson, a handy wing-back, whilst it's Aston Villa's Victor Lindelof, Atalanta's Isak Hien or Braga's Gustav Lagerbielke commonly part of the defensive unit. Tunisia are ranked 44th in the world. This is the 7th World Cup in total, extending their qualifying streak to 3 after appearances at Russia 2018 and Qatar 2022. They are still awaiting their first qualification from the group stage of this tournament, and whilst they'll enter 2026 as the Group F underdog, it's worth highlighting their qualifying efforts. Full control taken of a favourable Group H of African qualifying, finishing with a 9-1-0 record and conceding 0 goals. That qualification was earned under a number of different head coaches, and after an AFCON exit spelt the end of Sami Trebelsi's second spell, it's the former French international with Tunisian heritage Sabri Lamouchi who has been leading the Eagles of Carthage since January. Tunisia's highest quality comes from its base and spine. Good displays come when the left side of defence, Nice left-back Ali Abdi and Lorient defender Montassar Talbi are on it. Midfielders are the main standouts though. Eintracht Frankfurt's Elias Skiri will captain the team, Burnley's Hannibal sits further upfield, and there's also now a spot for Rani Khedira. The 32-year-old Union Berlin midfielder is the brother of 2014 World Cup winner Sami Khedira. Rani never got a senior Germany call-up, and he committed to switch to Tunisia, the country of his father, at the beginning of this calendar year. My Group F prediction: Japan, Netherlands, Sweden, Tunisia, Sweden through as a third-place qualifier. Group G of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features Belgium, Egypt, Iran and New Zealand. Belgium are currently ranked 9th in the recent FIFA World Rankings. Of the 23 total FIFA World Cups, including this upcoming 2026 one, they will have played at 16 of them. There's a growing theme that Belgium had a golden generation who missed their peak moment to claim the sport's biggest prizes. It was around the early 2010s that the buzz started to form, a recognition that the Red Devils had a group loaded with elite level players. That not only saw them make a return to regular tournament qualification, but also enter those summers as a potential contender for the trophy. The summit may well have been the 2018 World Cup in Russia, a campaign which ended with semi-final elimination to eventual winners France and a record third-place finish overall. Belgium haven't had it that good since, hitting the quarter-finals at best of the last 2 European Championships and suffering a group stage exit at Qatar 2022. With hindsight, finishing behind eventual semi-finalists Morocco and Croatia might not look too bad, but it certainly felt bad at the time. The good news for the immediate at least is that Belgium are in a very favourable group. It would take something quite spectacular to mess this preliminary round up. French coach Rudi Garcia has 6 of the players who were part of that golden 2018 squad: Thibaut Courtois, still an elite level goalkeeper, Axel Witsel, Yuri Tielemans, Thomas Meunier and the modern day Napoli pair of iconic midfielder Kevin De Bruyne and record goalscorer Romelu Lukaku. Jeremy Doku is extremely lively from out wide, sporting Zeno de Bast, Brighton Hove Albion's Maxime de Kuiper, Milan's Conny de Winter and Club Brugge's Joachim Seys are among the 2000s born defenders who could do with making a mark. Egypt sit at number 29 in the world rankings. They're African football's historic force, but their World Cup experience has been a lot more limited. 2026 is only a 4th total appearance, yet to progress beyond the first round of the tournament and still yet to win a game, previously losing all 3 group games at Russia 2018. A tough opening test with Belgium, but with Iran and New Zealand as their other opponents and as many as 3 qualifying spots from Group G available, 2026 feels like the time for Egypt to finally have a positive World Cup. One odd anomaly of this Pharaoh squad, they're the only one of the 48 participating teams who have called up 4 goalkeepers. The key men though will be further outfield. Nice centre-back Mohamed Abdelmonem, right-back Mohamed Hani, one of 8 players representing Egyptian giants Al Ahly, others including the attacking pair of Trezeguet and Zizou. The 2 undoubted stars though are the men who finished this recent Premier League season, Omar Marmoush and Mohamed Salah. 3 more goals to the latter and he becomes his country's all-time goalscorer, surpassing the man who is currently his manager. Iran, ranked 21st in the world, are playing at their 7th FIFA World Cup and their 4th in a row since Brazil 2014. Much like Egypt, they are yet to get past the first round of the tournament, but do have individual game wins to their name. There's no getting away from it, it has not been a comfortable build-up to this World Cup for Iran. On multiple occasions, doubts have been raised about whether they will even participate at this tournament, the country and its players further impacted by the breakout of the Iran war. Loss, protests, appeals, prominent tensions with the United States, where Iran are set to play all 3 group games across Inglewood and Seattle. At the time of writing at least, we are going ahead with Iran as one of the 48 teams, and the final squad has been submitted and numbered. The Iranian team is largely domestic based, additional players featuring the clubs in Belgium, Greece, Russia, and most commonly the United Arab Emirates. Notable figures to watch out for should include experienced goalkeeper Alireza Bayrinvand, known for his very long throw, as well as defender Shoje Khalilzadeh, left-back and captain Ehsan Haisathi, midfielder Saman Ghoddos, wideman Alireza Jahanbakhsh, and Olympiacos forward Mehdi Taremi. A mention too for Dennis Eckert, born in Germany, based in Belgium at Standard Liège. He's a new call-up for Iran, qualifying through his father's heritage, even though, at the time of writing, his international allegiance which hasn't yet been fully approved by FIFA. New Zealand, ranked 85th in the world, are maybe the best example of the benefits of the expansion from 32 to 48 total teams. The dominant force in the Oceania Football Confederation, New Zealand's World Cup history has been limited to 2 previous appearances at Spain 1982 and South Africa 2010. Each modern-day campaign, they've faced the challenge of no guaranteed OSC spots at the World Cup, requiring an inter-confederation playoff victory to qualify and usually falling short. The expansion to 48 teams has now given the OSC a guaranteed spot and a possible additional place through the playoffs, news greatly received by New Zealand, who strolled through qualifying and became one of the earliest teams to book their place for this summer, doing so back in March 2025. It means a 3rd total World Cup appearance for the All Whites, still yet to progress beyond the group stage, but technically holding a more than 40-year-long unbeaten run at the tournament, having famously exited in 2010 with 3 group stage draws and officially ending that World Cup as the only team unbeaten. Led by an English coach Darren Baisley, the New Zealand squad contains players from clubs on 3 different continents, most prominently either Auckland SC, part of Australia's A-League, or 5 different levels of the English League pyramid. Goalkeeper Max Crocombe, presently at Championship club Millwall, has been blossoming in later years, rising from the English 5th tier to the English 2nd tier via Grimsby Town and Burton Albion. Sheffield United defender Tyler Binden is still only 21, midfielder Joe Bell is based at Norwegian champions Viking, his midfield partner Marco Stamanet at Swansea City, the more advanced Elijah Just at Motherwell. There's also Wrexham left-back Liberato Kakache, St Etienne wideman Ben Old, Peterborough United midfielder Matthew Garbett, Port Vale forward Ben Waine, and Western Sydney Wanderers Costa Barbarouses to look out for. From the 2010 World Cup squad, 2 players remain in 2026. One of them is veteran defender Tommy Smith, turning out the Braintree Town at 36 and giving England's non-league pyramid representation at this World Cup. The other is the icon and talisman. Nottingham Forest Chris Wood was just a teenager and a substitute back in South Africa. He's now the definitive Kiwi footballer, with more caps and goals for the All Whites than anyone else. I think the World Cup goal is something I really would love to see from the 34-year-old this summer. My Group G prediction, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, New Zealand, Iran not managing to get through as a 3rd place qualifier. Group H of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia and Uruguay. Spain, in the recent FIFA World Rankings update from April 2026, are ranked number 2 in the world. Through all the prestige of the Spanish club game, it's not always been a national team loaded with success, particularly at the World Cup. 2026 is their 17th appearance at the tournament, last missing an edition at West Germany in 1974, and the history only focused on 2 standout finishes. 4th overall at Brazil 1950, and then 60 years later, a first title at South Africa 2010. That triumph came as part of an international golden era, sandwiched between European Championship victories in 2008 and 2012. The question right now, could we be in the midst of another? Spain entered this World Cup as an elite team, the reigning European champions from 2024, 2024 and desperate to improve on the last 3 participations, shock exits before the quarter-finals at Brazil, Russia and Qatar. First priority for Luis de la Fuente's men will be taking control of a group that they are the definite big hitter in, knowing that they'll face the Group J runner-up if they come top, whereas they would face the Group J winner in the round of 32 if they were to end up second. Spain's goalkeeper unit includes Barcelona's Joan Garcia and excellent Arsenal stopper David Raya, albeit it's Athletic Club's own Unai Simon, who has been starting major Spanish games for over a year now. A back four can form from another Athletic man, Aymeric Laporte, alongside Barcelona's Pau Kubasi, still only 19, with Chelsea's Marc Cucurella and one of Tottenham's Pedro Porro or Atletico's Marcos Llorente at fullback. Barcelona's Eric Garcia is an option to central defence or deeper midfield, Leverkusen's Alex Grimaldo a flying left-back option, and Atletico's uncapped defender Marc Pupi has also been added. Manchester City's Rodri could control and base a midfield where options are loaded. Arsenal's Mikel Merino and Martin Zubamendi, Paris Saint-Germain's Fabian Ruiz, and the Barcelona trio of Dani Olmo, Pedri, and the returning to fitness Gavi. Up front, eyes are firmly on Lamine Yamal, turning 19 at the back end of this tournament. A potential golden ball candidate with his game-changing vision, ball control, and decision-making. It could be any of Ferran Torres, Jeremy Pino, Alex Baena, or Nico Williams in the wide areas too. Real Sociedad's Mikel Oyarzabal commonly leading the line, and maybe still the most underrated aspect of this Spanish side, even after his Euro-winning goal in Berlin in 2024. Osasuna's Victor Munoz and Celtic de Vigo's Borja Iglesias complete the list. Spain's opening game opponents in Atlanta are Cape Verde, officially recognised by FIFA as Cabo Verde, and the second of our 4 World Cup debutants to feature. Ranked 69th in the world, it's the national team representing the Republic of Cabo Verde, an archipelago of 10 volcanic islands in the Atlantic Ocean, several hundred kilometres off the western coast of Africa. Cape Verde's presence at a World Cup is timely. It's a national team which has become a more regular feature at AFCON since their debut in 2013, and usually giving a strong account of themselves. They are twice African quarter-finalists and only failed to get out of their group once in 4 appearances, albeit they missed out entirely on qualification for the most recent AFCON held in Morocco around 6 months ago. Their place at North America 2026 comes in part of the increased qualification spots to CAF nations, but also down to the Atlantic nation upsetting the bigger hitters of Cameroon to top Group D of qualifying by 4 points, their place secured with a 3-0 win over Eswatini in Praia on the 13th of October 2025. Immediate thoughts on Cape Verde for this World Cup likely have them as a potential contender for a surprise third-place qualification, likely battling with Saudi Arabia for 3rd spot and making Matchday 3 in Houston the crucial fixture. Drawing direct comparisons to another island nation debutant, Group E's Curaçao, isn't quite right. A decent chunk of the Cape Verde team originates from the islands, and the country's Portuguese colonial past has been utilised for both recruitment of foreign-born players and as a pathway for Cape Verde-born players to enter the European game. There are 14 foreign-born players in this team, most of them coming from the Netherlands, or to be more specific, the city of Rotterdam, where all 6 originate. Led by former international centre-back Pedro Leitão Brito, known as Bubista, key assets in this Cape Verde team are likely to include centre-back Stopera, Logan Costa and Roberto Lopez, fullback and winger Sidney Cabral, midfielder and left-back João Paulo, the Rotterdam-born midfielders Jamiro Monteiro and brothers Deroy Duarte and Laros Duarte, attacking midfielder Telmo Arcanho, and forwards Gary Rodriguez, Willy Semedo and Dylan Livramento. Roberto Lopez is a fun story. Known as Pico, he was born in Crumlin and has played exclusively in Ireland throughout his career. The present Shamrock Rovers stalwart qualifies to Cape Verde through his father and only considered representing the CAF member after being messaged by the former boss on LinkedIn. Saudi Arabia, ranked 61st in the world, are playing at their 7th total World Cup, continuing a streak that began at Russia 2018. Their record run remains their debut in the United States in 1994, their surprise journey out of the groups and through to the round of 16. They haven't played a World Cup knockout match since, and will wonder if the expanded 2026 edition could finally offer them another chance. Similar to other Middle East nations, the preparation hasn't been perfect at Al Akhdar, forced to relocate both the recent March internationals as a result of the Iran war. An Egypt game scheduled to Qatar was moved to Jeddah, and a Serbia game scheduled to Qatar was changed to make Serbia technical hosts, taking place at Bachka Topola. They've also fairly recently changed coach. Frenchman Hervé Renard sacked in mid-April to conclude his second spell in charge of the national team, succeeded by Greek coach Georgios Donis. The Saudi Arabian squad heading to North America is almost entirely based in its own domestic league, a competition which has become much better known for its influx of well-paid, high-profile foreign imports as opposed to the general development of its own homegrown players. Nevertheless, there are players who could make the necessary difference in this group stage, namely left side defender Hassan Al Tambakti of Al Hilal, fullback Nawaf Bouchal of Al Nasser, wide man Salem Al Delsari of Al Hilal, fellow Al Hilal midfielder Mohamed Kano, and Al Ittihad forward Saleh El Shairi, and Al Ali striker Thiraz Al Baraikin. Uruguay, currently ranked 17th in the world, are a footballing nation synonymous with the earlier 20th century and the earliest years of the FIFA World Cup. 2026 is a 15th total participation out of 23 editions, their true heyday being decades ago, famously winners of the inaugural edition on home soil in 1930 and winning a second title in 1950 with their famous upset of host Brazil in the final game. Since then, it's been a peak of 4th place overall, achieved at Switzerland 1954, Mexico 1970, and much more recently, South Africa 2010. Uruguay and the World Cup hasn't been as pleasing since though, the highlight being the Russia 2018 quarterfinals and the failure to even get out the groups at Qatar 2022. Group H in 2026, they likely enter as second favourites, matchday 3 with Spain in Zapopan, possibly their chance to steal a headline and snatch top spot if things go as planned beforehand. Uruguay since May 2023 have been led by the iconic Argentine coach Marcelo Bielsa. In rather fitting El Loco fashion, they're the only team at this World Cup who haven't played any warm-up friendlies in May or June, their last games instead being draws with England and Algeria in March. It's the end of a particular era for La Celeste, the team no longer having an elite-level striker like Diego Forlan, Edinson Cavani or Luis Suarez on their books. The standout quality instead is now further back from the front line, including defence, where Barcelona's Ronald Araujo and Atletico's Jose Maria Jimenez can form a good centre-back pairing, with Napoli's Mateus Oliveira and Flamengo's Guillermo Varela at fullback. Real Madrid's Federico Valverde is the midfield talisman, Manchester United's Manuel Ugarte or Tottenham Hotspur's Rodrigo Bentancur also options, whilst a bit further up, it could be a chance to SC Braga's Rodrigo Salazar or the underrated Flamengo attacker Georgian de Arrascaeta to stand out. Maxi Araujo Sporting gets to play further up the left for his country than he often does for his club, whilst leading the line, it's likely to be either Real Oviedo's Federico Viñas, Tigres' Rodrigo Aguirre, or Al Hilal's Darwin Núñez. My Group H prediction, Spain, Uruguay, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, Cape Verde not qualifying through 3rd place. Group I of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features France, Senegal, Iraq and Norway. France sit as the number 1 team in the world following a rankings update from April 2026. They are playing at a 17th total edition of the FIFA World Cup, their history including 2 titles as hosts in 1998 and then again at Russia 2018, appearances at the finals of 2006 and 2022, 3rd place finishes in 1958 and 1986, and a 4th place finish from 1982. Les Bleus have been the top-ended international game for a decade now. It's commonplace for them to enter a tournament as a genuine contender, and discussion around their squad inevitably focuses on the depth of their talent pool, with a notable list of players who haven't even made it into the final selection. France in 2026 have the chance to become only the 3rd country to reach 3 consecutive World Cup finals after West Germany's run between 1982 and 1990 and Brazil's run between 1994 and 2002. On current World Cup projections, it's going to be a hugely rewarding feeling if they do manage it. France begin the tournament in arguably its most exciting group, with at least 2 big tests from opponents, and if they top the pile, the high-profile knockout opponents are set to arrive as early as the round of 16. It's set to be one final tournament to Didier Deschamps, a man who will have been in charge of his country for the last 14 years and for more than 180 total games. His final squad selection for France, as highlighted earlier, is a remarkable list, loaded with representation from elite European clubs and 1 player presently in the Saudi Pro League. Mike Maignan is the standout goalkeeper ahead of Stade Rennes's Samba and Lens's Robin Rieser. Defence in front has Deo Upamecano, Ibrahim Konate, William Saliba, Lucas Hernandez and Maxence Lacroix as leading centre-back options. It's likely one of Theo Hernandez or Luca Dean for left-back, one of Malagusto or Jules Koundé for right-back. Lucas Hernandez is one of 4 players from France's victorious 2018 squad who is present in this 2026 team. Another comes in midfield with the iconic N'Golo Kante, nowadays at Fenerbahce at the time spent in Saudi Arabia. He's part of a central unit that has Manu Kone, Aurelien Chouameni, Adrien Rabiot and 20-year-old Warren Zaire-Emery as options, with one of Rayan Cherki or the brilliant Michael Olise capable of sitting in a creative 10 role or further wide. And then there's the forwards. Ousmane Dembele, Marcus Thuram, Kylian Mbappe, Bradley Barcola, Desiree Doué, Jean-Philippe Mateta and Magnus Akliouche. This is exactly why the French talent pool is always brought up each tournament. Mbappe is the main superstar among stars, the captain, a World Cup winner from 2018 with Ousmane Dembele and the Golden Ball winner from 2022. He has 12 World Cup goals from 14 World Cup matches. The all-time record is still Germany's Miroslav Klose with 16. It's entirely possible that he could break that record this summer, albeit there's a certain Argentine in Group J who is also within reach. Senegal, ranked 14th in the world, are playing at what is only their 4th ever World Cup appearance. Their debut was at Japan and South Korea 2002, beating the holders France in the opening game and making it all the way to the quarterfinals, then a joint record for an African nation. They've since returned to regular qualifications from 2018, exiting in the groups in Russia, but making it to the round of 16 in 2022. Now at North America 2026, they are part of one of the standout groups, knowing that they can get through in 3rd, but more hopeful of proving an early surprise package. There's an unfortunate asterisk stuck next to Senegal, however, from recent international matches. In their eyes, they're entering the summer as the reigning African champions, having beaten the host Morocco 1-0 after extra time last January. The decision, 2 months afterwards, to strip them of the title is deeply controversial. It's judged to have been through Senegal thwarting by walking their team off the pitch, that long delay caused by protest and outrage, and Morocco being awarded a controversial late penalty at the end of normal time. The appeal's been launched. At the time of writing, there's been no conclusive action as of yet. Senegal either way know their quality, they are one of the very best in African football, and it may well take one of the World Cup's most elite teams to send them out. Head coach Pape Thiaw's group has standouts that include Al Ahly goalkeeper Edouard Mendy, Al Hilal centre-back Kalidou Koulibaly, Chelsea defender Mamadou Sarr, Lyon defender Moussa Niakate, Everton midfielder Idrissa Gueye, Sunderland midfielder Habib Diarra, Monaco midfielder Lamine Camara, and frontline options are Bayern's Nicolas Jackson, Everton's Iliman Ndiaye, Crystal Palace's Ismaila Sarr, Paris Saint-Germain teenager Ibrahim Mbaye, and the legendary Sadio Mane, Senegal's record goalscorer. Iraq sit 57th in the world rankings, participating in their 2nd total World Cup after a debut at Mexico 1986, where they exited without a point. Of all 48 teams at this World Cup, no one has had a longer qualifying campaign than Iraq, and likely not a more turbulent one either. Iraq's campaign totaled 21 matches and 28 months, beginning back in November 2023 with progression through the simple ASC 2nd round. The subsequent ASC 3rd round was the first chance of direct qualification. Iraq finished 3rd in Group B, a point behind Jordan, and progressing to the ASC 4th round. This had them in a 3-team group with Indonesia and Saudi Arabia, the top team qualifying for the World Cup, and they finished 2nd behind Saudi Arabia on just goals scored. That instead meant playing in ASC's 5th round, a 2-legged tie with the United Arab Emirates, the winner progressing to FIFA's Intercontinental Playoffs in March 2026. By this point, Iraq are under the leadership of Graham Arnold, an iconic Australian coach, twice manager of his own country, including the previous World Cup cycle in Qatar, where he guided the Socceroos to the round of 16. Arnold led Iraq through the whole of the ASC 4th and 5th round, the latter seeing them draw their opening leg away to the UAE 1-1, and then win the home leg 2-1 in Basra with a penalty in the 17th minute of stoppage time. Iraq's campaign still isn't done, them now having to wait more than 4 months until FIFA's Intercontinental Playoffs in Mexico. They get a bye to the Pathway 2 final as one of the 2 best-ranked sides and secure their spot at the World Cup with a 2-1 win over Bolivia on the 31st of March 2026. It's not just the length of the campaign and the wait since the last appearance that makes Iraq's place at North America 2026 still so special. It's a country which has long competed in the face of adversity back home, a nation regularly faced with periods of conflict and instability. If you've never read up on their ASC Asian Cup triumph in 2007, it's strongly recommended. Indeed, for this campaign, particularly the back end, Iraq faced challenges other opponents simply haven't. With the outbreak of war in neighbouring Iran, players found difficulty getting travel over to Mexico to their recent playoff, with Graham Arnold forced to manage team operations remotely in the UAE. With all the hardship Iraq have endured to reach this World Cup, it could be argued as a shame that they've ended up with this group, facing off against a genuine tournament contender, one of the very best teams in Africa, and a very exciting European prospects. It's your call if you want to see this group as an ordeal or a reward for them. 10 of the Iraqi squad play for domestic clubs, the rest based at 14 clubs in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Europe and North America. Key to the Lions in Mesopotamia at this World Cup, alongside the calibre of their coach, should be main goalkeeper Jalal Hassan, all three stoppers playing at Iraqi clubs. Keep an eye out too for left side defender Akram Hashim, Utrecht midfielder Zidane Iqbal, Saudi Arabia-based wide man Ali Jassim, UAE-based forward Mohamed Ali, leading active goalscorer Ayman Hussein, and Ali Al-Hamadi, a pacey EFL striker born in Iraq and raised in Liverpool. Norway are ranked 31st in the world rankings, and their place at this World Cup creates a real buzz. It's only a fourth FIFA World Cup appearance in all, debuting at France 1998 and not returning until consecutive appearances in the 1990s. Qualification to North America 2026 means a first World Cup since France 1998 and a first major tournament appearance of any sort since Euro 2000. There's a generation of Norwegians who have waited to see their team on the big stage once again, and they will have loved the way that they got here. Norway qualified to this World Cup via UEFA's Group I, initially the second favourite behind the historic heavyweights of Italy. Norway began the campaign in March 2025 with 2 away wins, and it was in June 2025 when they really put out a statement of intent. They faced Italy on the 6th of June in Oslo and beat the Italians by a comfortable 3-0 margin, stamping full authority onto the group table as it neared its halfway point. The remaining international breaks in 2025 saw Italy keep pace with a string of consecutive wins, but Norway would always hold the lead with a string of wins themselves, some by big margins, and none more so than on the 9th of September when they thrashed Moldova in Oslo 11-1. That all culminated in the final round of games in November 2025. Italy hosted Norway at San Siro 3 points behind. Such was the gap in goal difference between the pair, however, that the Italians would have needed to win that game by 9 goals in order to steal first place from their opponents. They had a 1-0 half-time lead, but Stoller Solback inside returned to their groove after the break, running out 4-1 winners in Milan. 8 out of 8 qualifiers won, 37 goals scored and a plus 32 goal difference. If that standard of Norway comes into this World Cup, this team has a lot of potential. It's very easy to focus on the 2 superstars in this Norwegian team. The quality of Erling Haaland and Martin Ødegaard speaks for itself. Haaland in particular is the exact kind of player a World Cup needs to have present, a man who drives new standards to goal scoring output at both club and international level. Still just 25, he's the record goal scorer for Norway, better than a goal a game at average, and finished qualifying with 16 goals out of Norway's 37 total. No one else anywhere in the world got that many. Norway are a lot more than just Haaland and Ødegaard though. Ørjan Nyland in goal, Torbjørn Heggem, Leo Østegård or Christopher Ayer at the back, David Muller-Wolf and Julian Ryerson at fullback, Patrick Berg and Sander Berger in midfield, excellent wide options, Taylor Asgard, Antonio Nusa, Oscar Bob, Andreas Schjelderup, Jens Petter Hauge, or the incredibly versatile Fredrik Alsnes, and a front pair where Haaland can be joined by either of 2 big strikers, Jørgen Strand Larsen or Alexander Sørloth. In an exciting high-level Group I, Norway have got the chance to make a global statement very early. My Group I prediction: France, Norway, Senegal, Iraq. Senegal through as a 3rd place qualifier. Group J of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features Argentina, Algeria, Austria and Jordan. Argentina, after a world rankings update in April 2026, are at number 3. 2026 is the 23rd FIFA World Cup, and Argentina will have played at 19 of them, last missing a tournament with Mexico 1970. Only Germany and Brazil have been to more. Argentina's World Cup history includes 3 titles, 1978, 1986, and last time out in 2022, with appearances in the final in 1930, 1990 and 2014. We are currently in the midst of a modern-day golden era for La Albiceleste, their best spell for 3 decades. Argentina ended a 28-year duck to win the 2021 Copa America, following that up with a World Cup triumph in 2022 and victory in the most recent Copa America from 2024. That victory in Qatar 3.5 years ago was an example of true tournament grit. The team on the back foot straight away after their shock opening game defeat to Saudi Arabia, every match after having a must-win feel to it. They progressed through round after round with a dogged defensive spine, relentless midfield energy and world-class game-changing moments at the top end. Truthfully, it might be the perfect blend for success in modern-day tournament football, and they'll enter 2026 as an understandable contender, having been the runaway standout team during the 10-team CONMEBOL qualifying campaign. Lionel Scaloni, in charge for almost 8 full years now, retains 17 players from that victorious 2022 squad, one of those being standout goalkeeper Emi Martinez, always box office for a penalty shootout. Nicolas Otamendi and Christian Romero remain in defence, as do Nicolas Tagliafico, Gonzalo Montiel, Lisandro Martinez Martinez and Nahuel Molina. Facundo Medina, versatile across the backline. Valentin Barco, a choice for the left side or central midfield. The midfield unit could still be formed from any of Leandro Paredes, Rodrigo de Paul, Alexis McAllister, Enzo Fernandez or Ezequiel Palacios, with Giovanni Lo Celso or the young, more advanced Nico Paz also added into the mix. Up front, there's the retained Thiago Almada and Lautaro Martinez, adding forwards including Nicolas Gonzalez, Giuliano Simeone and Jose Lopez. Julian Alvarez was one of the stars of 2022, and with the levels shown by him at Atletico de Madrid, he could be even better in 2026. And finally, the number 10. 2022 might well have been the moment Lionel Messi completed football, the World Cup being the last piece of major silverware he needed to have. He'll turn 39 during this group stage, having spent his most recent seasons in the United States with Inter Miami. And Messi in MLS has looked exactly as you'd expect Messi in MLS to look. He doesn't need another World Cup title to retire as the greatest footballer the game has ever seen, but it's still possible to now that he could end up with a second. Algeria, ranked 28th in the world, are at their 5th World Cup. Their 4 previous appearances came in pairs. Group stage exits in 1982 and 1986, returning through a group stage exit in 2010 and a record run to the round of 16 in 2014. 2 of those tournaments in particular stand out. That debut in 1982, where Algeria fell victim to the infamous disgrace of Gijón, West Germany and Austria intentionally playing out a result which benefited both of them a day after Algeria's final day, and their most recent appearance in 2014, progressing from their group and giving eventual winners Germany one serious test in the last 16. That night in Porto Alegre might well be the best example you can get of prime Manuel Neuer. There's likely to be high levels of national motivation for matchday 3 in particular for Algeria, facing Austria in Kansas City for what might not just be a shootout to second spot, but also a chance to gain some revenge for events in Gijón from 44 years previously. Algeria are led by Vladimir Petkovic, a Bosnian-born coach who is a naturalised Swiss citizen. His 2026 squad has 3 players who were present at the Brazil World Cup in 2014, all still notable names. Lille defender Issa Mondi is Algeria's record cap holder. There's also his club teammate Nabil Bentaleb in midfield, and the long-standing Algerian talisman Al Ahly winger Riyad Mahrez. Worth keeping an eye out too for Granada goalkeeper Lucas Zidane, one of Zinedine's sons, Manchester City's left-back Ryan Ait-Nouri, left-sided Borussia Dortmund defender Rami Bensebaini, Al Ittihad midfielder Houssam Aouar, Eintracht Frankfurt attacker Thérèse Chaibi, Bayer Leverkusen attacker Ibrahim Matza, Olympique de Marseille striker Amin Gouiri, and Feyenoord forward Anis Hadj Moussa. Austria sit 24th in the world rankings, participating in only their 8th World Cup overall, their 1st since France 1998. Their historic heyday comes deep into the previous century, finishing 4th at Italy 1934 and a peak of 3rd overall at Switzerland 1954. In the limited tournament appearances since, it's been first round exits and second stage appearances at Argentina 1978 and Spain 1982. The hope this summer is that a relative golden crop under German coach Ralf Rangnick, placed in an inviting Group J, can give the newest Austrian generation their first taste of the World Cup and continue the buzz that was felt around them ahead of the previous European Championship in 2024. The Austrian squad is a cohesive unit, with its stars including a couple of serious utility men. Bayern Munich's Konrad Laimer is a midfielder at heart, whose versatility has found plenty of game time in fullback roles in recent times. Real Madrid's David Alaba has been the household name of Austrian football for well over a decade now. The Austrian captain has the versatility to play in midfield, but nowadays finds himself in more defensive roles to club and country, sat alongside the likes of Tottenham Hotspur's Kevin Danso, Mainz's Stefan Posch, and Freiburg's Philipp Leonhardt. Leipzig pairs Xaver Schlager and Niklas Seiwald can form a midfield pairing, Braga's Florian Grilic, PSV's Paul Vanna, and Borussia Dortmund's Carney Chukwuemeka also options. Up front, it's likely to be a trio formed from Dortmund's Marcel Savitzer, Cervena Zvezda veteran Marko Arnautovic, and either Augsburg's Michael Gregoritsch, Werder Bremen's Romano Schmid, or Wolfsburg's Patrick Wimmer. Leipzig's Christoph Baumgartner sadly has to miss out through injury. Jordan, ranked 63rd overall in the rankings, are the 3rd of our 4 FIFA World Cup debutants. We already had a sign of this elite group appearance coming after the Southern Levant nation reached the final of the most recent AFC Asian Cup back in 2023. Jordan's spot in North America 2026 has been confirmed for a full year, booking their spot in June 2025 as one of the first batch of qualifiers from the AFC third round, securing second spot in Group B with a game to spare, ahead of Iraq and behind South Korea. Playing a plethora of different opponents in friendlies and Arab Cup matches since, including a more testing March when the Iran war forced them to relocate games with Costa Rica and Nigeria to neutral Turkey, Jordan will arrive at the World Cup as the Group F outsider, attributed to both their ranking and their general inexperience. Led by Moroccan coach Jamal Salami since August 2024, 11 of Jordan's squad play in their own country across just 3 different clubs: Al Thaisali, Al Hussein and Al Wydad. The rest of this group are mainly Asia-based, with 2 players representing North African clubs and 1 active player being based in Europe. Key to group stage success and upsets this summer will be leading goalkeeper Yazid Abu Layla, one of the Al Hussein group, as well as Iraq-based defenders Abdallah Nassif and Mohamed Abu Taha, Al Hussein right wing-back Ehsan Haddad, Malaysia-based midfielder Noor Al Rawabdeh, Qatar-based forward Ali Olwan, and Jordan's starman Stade Rennais thorn Musa Al Tamari, provided he doesn't break ranks and try to change his team's pressing shape again. My Group J prediction: Argentina, Austria, Algeria, Jordan, Algeria not making it through as a 3rd place qualifier. Group K of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features Portugal, Congo DR, Uzbekistan and Colombia. Portugal sit 5th in the world rankings following the recent update at the start of April 2026. This is only their 9th World Cup in total out of 23. Appearances limited to a record high of 3rd place on debut in 1966 and a group stage exit 20 years later in 1986. They've been a World Cup regular since the turn of the century though, last missing a tournament at France 1998, but only managing 1 semi-final appearance since, coming 4th overall at Germany 2006. That history enhances Portugal's reputation as more of a European competition force than a global competition force, but with the current strength of their talent pool, 2026 could well be the time that they finally make a strong mark on a World Cup again. Their group is very favourable, their projected knockout path doesn't look really testing until at least the quarter-final stage, and their squad is loaded with top-level talent. Spanish coach Roberto Martinez has Diogo Costa as his leading goalkeeper, ahead of the longer-playing Jose Sá and Rui Silva. His defence in front can choose from Ruben Diaz, Thomas Araujo, Renato Veiga and Gonçalo Inácio as centre-backs, Nelson Semedo and the brilliant Nuno Mendes are right-back and left-back options, Mateus Nunes a right-back or midfield option, whilst Diogo Dalot and João Cancelo have the versatility to play on either side. A high-quality midfield features the outstanding engines of Bernardo Silva, Vitinha or João Neves, with the deep control of Ruben Neves or the creative genius of Bruno Fernandes. They can be the support behind a front line that includes an abundance of wide options: João Felix, Francisco Trincao, Rafael Leao, Pedro Neto, Gonçalo Guedes and Francisco Conceição, with Gonçalo Ramos an option through the very centre. And then there's their modern-day legend. Now 41, this really should be Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup, and it feels like he's desperate to go out with the sport's biggest prize. He's the greatest goalscorer of his generation, possibly ever, closing in on 1,000 career goals, and unmatched in all of men's football for both international caps and international goals. More than 225 for the former, and more than 140 for the latter. He's not in his prime years anymore, but still going to have all the attention whether he's on or off the pitch, and he'll believe he needs to be out on it for as long as possible. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, officially recognised by FIFA as Congo DR, are ranked 46th in the world. This is their 2nd experience of the FIFA World Cup, their debut coming at West Germany in 1974, when they exited at the group stage without a point or a goal. Back then, the country was known as Zaire and was very different to what it is today. Congo DR booked their place at this 2026 World Cup in March 2026, the victors of Pathway 1 of the FIFA Intercontinental Playoffs. It was the conclusion of a lengthy qualifying campaign, beginning back in November 2023. Having finished 2 points behind Senegal in CAF Group B, their tally of 22 points was enough to be one of the 4 best performing group runners-up, earning passage to Africa's second round, a 4-team knockout tournament in Morocco, where they defeated Cameroon with a 93rd minute winner and then knocked out Nigeria on penalties. Those wins earned passage to the Intercontinental Playoffs in Mexico, Congo DR getting a bye to the Pathway 1 final as one of the highest ranked teams. Their opponents in Zapopan on the 31st of March 2026 were Jamaica, the Leopards winning that tense affair 1-0 in the 100th minute during extra time. It's pleasing to have Congo DR at this World Cup, a nation which has long had to miss out at other African teams' expense, despite possessing one of the more enticing national pools of talent. French coach Sébastien Desabre's group have acquired numerous eligible players to represent them through heritage, their current 26-man squad featuring just 6 players actually born in the DRC. From the remaining 20, 11 originate from France, 5 were born in Belgium, 2 in Switzerland and 2 in England. Names to watch out for in the Congo DR team include West Ham United right-back Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Burnley centre-back Axel Tuanzebe, scorer of the winning goal against Jamaica in March, Genks left sider Joris Kayembe, Lille defender Chancellor Mbemba, Lens left back Arthur Masuaku, Lille midfielder Nigal Ao Mukau, Atromitos midfielder Samu Mutusami, Sunderland midfielder Noah Siddiqui, Alanyaspor forward Meshek Elia, Real Betis striker Cedric Bakambu, and Newcastle United forward Yohan Wissa. Uzbekistan, ranked 50th in the world, are the final of our Thor World Cup debutants at North America 2026. This is a debut that I've felt has been incoming. Whilst this is the Central Asian nation's first venture onto the world stage at senior level, the country has previous with Youth World Cups at under 20 and under 17 level. Within the last 15 years, you can find records of Uzbek teams and editions of the Youth World Cups, and they often do well. They've twice made the quarterfinals of both the under 17 and under 20 versions, and have a 100% group qualification record at under 17 level. When a country's making a mark like that at youth level, it feels a matter of time until you see their presence at senior level, and the expansion to 48 teams has been the perfect chance for Uzbekistan to book their place as one of the earliest ASE qualifiers. That historic qualification was earned a year ago in June 2025, a joint effort from Slovenian coach Srećko Katanec and then his successor, the former Uzbek stalwart international Timur Kapadze. Neither will lead the White Wolves into the World Cup, however, with a decision made back in October 2025 to give the team a very high-profile leader. Former World Cup and Ballon d'Or winner Fabio Cannavaro is the Uzbekistan head coach, assisted by his younger brother Paolo, a dynamic which has previously been seen at Chinese club Guangzhou Evergrande. The Cannavaro's World Cup squad features a group of players largely based at Uzbek clubs, with 8 playing in either Iran or the United Arab Emirates, and 3 based in Europe. The latter 3 are easily the standouts, none more so than Manchester City defender Abu Qadir Kusanov, the relative wonder kid of Uzbek football, still only 24. Turkey's Istanbul Başakşehir is the other UEFA club represented in this squad, a team that this season has featured Eldor Shomurodov, Uzbekistan's clear record goalscorer, as well as attacking midfielder Abozbek Feyzuliev. Key for Uzbekistan too this summer should be Nabahor Namangan goalkeeper Utkit Yusupov, right-sided Paktikor defender Koziakbar Alijanov, and Banias midfielder Otabek Shukurov. Colombia sit at number 13 in the world rankings. This is only their 7th World Cup appearance, their debut coming back at Chile 1962. They played at all 3 World Cups in the 1990s, hitting a then peak of the round of 16 at Italy 1990, and then returning to the world stage to Brazil 2014, where they made their greatest mark with a quarter-final appearance and reaching the round of 16 at Russia 2018. Back in the World Cup as it expands to bumper size, offering more South American places than ever before, Argentine coach Nestor Lorenzo should be aiming for comfortable knockout qualification this group stage, taking advantage of its 2 more favourable games being up first, and then potentially meeting Portugal in a top spot shootout on matchday 3 in Florida. Plenty of familiar names in the Colombia squad, with potential flexibility in the goalkeeper position. David Ospina, playing in his homeland with Atlético Nacional, is a 130-cap veteran, but fellow squad mates Atlas's Camilo Vargas and Vélez Sarsfield's Alvaro Montero have been starting Colombia games ahead of him recently. A potentially effective back 4 can form from Bologna's John Lusumi, Galatasaray's Davinson Sanchez, Mallorca's Johan Mojica, and Crystal Palace's flying right back Daniel Munoz, with Independiente's Santiago Arias, Nantes' Diver Machado, Cagliari's Yerry Mina, and Cruz Azul's Villadita also available. Colombia's star of their 2014 quarter-final run was James Rodriguez, and he's still donning the yellow, blue and red 12 years on. Now 34 and based in the United States at Minnesota United, he's often deployed as the attacking midfielder ahead of a base that can include Benfica's Richard Rios, Racing Santander's Gustavo Buerta, Atletico Paranaense's Juan Portilla, or Crystal Palace's Jefferson Lerma. At the time of writing, James is 5 caps behind David Ospina in the all-time list and 5 goals behind Radamel Falcao on the all-time scoring list of Colombia. The modern-day star man, though, is out on the left. Luis Diaz had an electric first season in Germany with Bayern Munich and is the standout in a front line that can include Palmeiras' Joan Arias on the right, with the line led by Krasnodar's Jean Cordoba, Real Betis' Cucho Hernandez, or the impressive Sporting CP striker Luis Suarez. My Group K prediction: Portugal, Colombia, Congo DR, Uzbekistan, Congo DR through as a 3rd place qualifier. Group L of the 2026 FIFA World Cup features England, Croatia, Ghana and Panama. England, ranked number 4 in the pre-tournament FIFA World Rankings, are playing at their 17th FIFA World Cup. You know the history well enough, partly because we don't stop going on about it. Champions on home soil in 1966, the best performance in the 60 years since being 4th place finishes at Italy 1990 and Russia 2018. I find analysis of England to be trickier than others, as things can be very black and white in some people's eyes. The Three Lions enter a tournament to win it, and it's deemed a failure if they don't. That mindset neglects the facts that the last 8 years has been England's most successful period of decades. Prior to Gareth Southgate, England were a team known for regular tournament underperformance, labouring through groups, almost always out by at best the quarter-final stage. Southgate in his first tournament delivers a first World Cup semi-final for 28 years, and has England as back-to-back European Championship finalists. The defeats at the end of each are a crushing feeling, but the whole tenure should be seen as a sign of the progress that the Three Lions have made. 2026 is now the Football Association's primary target, and their attempts to end a 60-year major silverware drought have been handed to Thomas Tuchel, notable for his success in club game management. Tuchel's England qualified to North America with a perfect record, 8 wins out of 8 in a favourable UEFA group, scoring 22 goals and conceding 0. It's a very impressive record, but not going to fully sell everyone in a fan base that is notoriously hard to please and convince. Tuchel's true worth as a hire will only be shown this summer, tasked with guiding England through a largely favourable group and then winning 5 consecutive knockout ties by whatever means necessary. If they are going to do it this June and July, it'd be very wrong to expect it all to be by a convincing manner. England's squad announcement has been met with the usual discourse, omissions so often the focus, even when more often than not, they're with regards to those who should be squad players, and club bias so often gets in the way. Jordan Pickford may not be a truly elite level goalkeeper in some people's eyes, but has earned a deserved reputation as possibly the country's greatest tournament stopper, regularly dependable since 2018. Defence in front has flexibility with options, centre-backs likely to be Mark Guéhi and one of either Ezri Konsa or John Stones, the latter may be fitness dependent. Reece James could be the starting right-back, Nico O'Reilly the only natural left-back on the other side, making the versatility of Jed Spence and Valentino Livramento useful. Gerald Kwanzaa and towering Dan Burn are additional defensive options. Midfield may well form from a controlling trio of Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson and Jude Bellingham, Kobbie Mainoo and Anderson alternative, and Jordan Henderson an inclusion perceived to be more for squad cohesion than actual participation. Morgan Rogers and Eberechi Eze are alternatives to Bellingham in an attacking midfield role. England will be spearheaded by their greatest goalscorer Harry Kane, who was world-class at Tottenham Hotspur and is hitting borderline astronomical numbers since moving to Bayern Munich. Flexibility with wide options favours Anthony Gordon or Marcus Rashford on the left, along with the aforementioned Rodgers and Eze, with Bukayo Saka or Noni Madueke inverted on the right-hand side. Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney sit in reserve to Kane in the striker role, well aware that their role is to be impact men in limited minutes. England's World Cup opener season play in Arlington, Texas against Croatia, ranked number 11 in the world. Croatia have formed a remarkable reputation for World Cup success, playing in only their 7th tournament since their debut as an independent nation in 1998. In their 6 previous tournaments, its 3 group stage exits, 2 third-place finishes from 1998 and 2022, and an appearance as finalists in 2018. A record of a semi-final appearance in 50% of the World Cup campaigns is some going for a nation of less than 4 million people. That 2018 run came under a golden crop of Croatian talent, and 3.5 years later at Qatar, the 3rd place finish came after a feeling that the golden team was past their peak. There's a possibility therefore of a similar mistake in 2026. Belief that another World Cup cycle has taken the iconic Checkers past their period of being an elite World Cup competitor. This isn't a guarantee. Under long-serving coach Zlatko Dalic, Croatia still have 6 of the squad who reached the 2018 World Cup final and retained 14 of their players from 2022, including its very biggest stars. Dominik Livakovic is still the leading goalkeeper, spending the back half of 25-26 on loan at former club Dinamo Zagreb from Fenerbahce. Manchester City's Josko Vardiol is the retaining standout defender, the left-sider in a unit that includes Fiorentina's Marin Pongracic, Real Sociedad's Duje Saleta Sarr, Ajax's Josip Sutalo, Midtjylland's Martin Ehrlich, Bayern's very versatile Josip Stanisic, and 19-year-old Hamburg centre-back Luka Vuskovic, whose parent club is Tottenham Hotspur. Midfield still contains the magic man. Captain Luka Modric is now 40 years old, but has always had a style of play that could never be truly slowed by age. The now Milan-based legend is still often the conductor in a central unit where Bologna's Nicola Moro, Manchester City's Mateo Kovacic, Atalanta's Mario Pasalic, Como's Martin Baturina, or Inter's Petar Sucic could feature, with the likes of Torino's Nikola Vlasic, Hoffenheim Hoffenheim's Andrej Kramaric, Rijeka's Toni Fruk, or Real Sociedad's Luka Sucic played more advanced. I mentioned too for another Croatian icon, PSV-based Ivan Perisic, a man who haunts my personal nightmares and even at 37 is still capable of pulling off deadly finishes from the left-hand side. The aforementioned Kramaric is also an option to the striker position, where his main competition comes from Osasuna's Ante Budimir, SD Dallas's Petar Musa, and giant Freiburg man Igor Matanovic. Ghana, ranked 74th in the world rankings, are playing at their 5th total World Cup. This was the nation who didn't make their debut until Germany 2006, missing just one tournament since, Russia 2018, and their record run remains a quarter-final appearance at South Africa 2010. Ending with that eventful clash against Uruguay, the Ghanaians are likely still not over. Group stage exits in their 2 previous World Cup appearances, there's a hope that the expanded format and additional qualification spots can offer a stronger possibility of knockout football this time. Ghana have been led by Otto Addo since before the previous World Cup, but after being let go in March 2026, he's been succeeded by a very seasoned name, Carlos Queiroz, the coach of 7 previous national teams, leading South Africa, Portugal and Iran to 5 previous World Cups in total. Ghana's squad gets more exciting the further up the pitch you go, though it's still going to require defensive individuals like Wolfsburg's Jonas Adjei, Alger left-back Gideon Mensah, and potentially Nice centre-back Kojo Pepra Opong to contribute. The midfield units commonly formed of Villarreal's Thomas Partey, Nordsjælland's Caleb Yerenki, and Real Oviedo's Kwasi Sibo, also holding Alger's Elisha Owusu as a central option. It's out wide and up front where the standouts are though. Manchester City's Antoine Semenyo and Athletic Club's Iñaki Williams bring high-profile firepower, and they'd have been able to form a really fun front three if Tottenham's Mohamed Kudus had made it. Instead, its options including Coventry City's Brandon Thomas Asante, Leicester City's Abdul Tutawu, Al Qadsiya's Christopher Bonsu-Ba, Atalanta's Kamaldeen Sulemana, Olympic Lyonnais' Ernest Nuama, or Victoria Plzeňa's Prince Kwabena Adu, who could all feature. I mentioned too the Ghana stalwart Jordan Ayew, a free agent soon after 2 years at Leicester City. He'll carry the Ayew name into another World Cup, but won't be joined by his brother Andre this time. And finally, Panama, ranked 33rd in the world, playing at their 2nd World Cup. Panama's debut came 8 years ago in Russia, facing a familiar opponent in England, ultimately finishing bottom of Group G without a point to their name. They did get their first World Cup goals in 2018, and the simple target now for 2026 is to see whether they can get their first World Cup points. Benefiting from a generally weaker CONCACAF qualifying lineup, as Canada, Mexico and the United States had already qualified as co-hosts, Los Canaleros booked their spot as Group A winners, finishing 3 points clear of Suriname on the final day in November 2025. The man who achieved that qualification has been at the helm since July 2020, Thomas Christiansen. Born in Denmark but qualifying for Spain through a Spanish mother, a country he would earn 2 senior caps for in 1993, scoring once against Lithuania. Christiansen's Panama squad for this World Cup is a very international group, just 2 of his 26 players based at a Panamanian club. Conveniently also 2 of the oldest men in the squad, and both playing for the same team. The rest represent a mixture of clubs across North America, South America, Europe and the Middle East. Standouts including Pumas midfielder Adalberto Carrasquilla, Al-Thaiha goalkeeper Orlando Mosquera, Marseille fullback Amer Murillo, Norwich City centre-back Jose Cordoba, Lask defender Andreas Andrade, Juarez wide man Jose Luis Rodriguez, and their 2 main strikers, Jose Fajardo and Cecilio Waterman, who play in Ecuador and Chile respectively. My Group H prediction, England, Croatia, Ghana, Panama, Ghana through as a 3rd place qualifier. It's time to get the biggest show in football back up and running. Group stages run from Thursday the 11th of June through to Saturday the 27th of June. The round of 32 is from Sunday the 28th of June to Monday the 3rd of July. The round of 16 is from Saturday the 4th of July to Tuesday the 7th of July. The quarter-finals from Thursday the 9th of July to Saturday the 11th of July. The semi-finals on Tuesday the 14th and Wednesday the 15th of July, with the 3rd place playoff on Saturday the 18th of July and the 2026 World Cup final on Sunday the 19th of July at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. But it should be the Azteca. We'll aim to take in as much of it all as we can.